And so, good evening. Welcome to another Wednesday evening podcast, the School of Conscious Evolution. My name is Daniela Florio. I am a medium, a healer, and a crystal therapist. Tonight, I have the pleasure to have two guests. So let's introduce the first one. So this is Sandra Ferreira. Good evening, Sandra.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Nice to be here again.
It's lovely to have you back. It's been a long while. We've tried a few times, but fortunately we are here again. And so you are based in California, and just shortly you are a counselor. You are a musician and you are a medium. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, yes, we worked for over 34 years, both doing music and psychology, and is a wonderful thing to combine different things, different modalities of healing and therapy, and is including spiritual healing. So it's a wonderful. We are going to cover some of this today throughout the program, but
we are indeed. We are indeed. Thank you, Sandra. And the other lady that we have is Suu Wighton. Good evening, Sue, and welcome back. Sue is kind of a regular now, really, once a month feature of this show. And Sue is bringing her expertise / knowledge on homeopathy, alternative healing, holistic healing, and all together tonight we will be looking at mind, body, and spirit healing and how we can improve our lifestyle quality. Having said this, we will then around 8 o'clock or so, or thereabouts, depending how the evening pans out, we will be doing some readings as well. And so, Sue, tell us a little bit more about your beliefs in alternative healing and the different modalities to heal, really using nature as our ally.
Yeah, well, I'm trained conventionally. I started as a nurse, and then I went to the tropical school, graduating with my doctorate in public health. I was very in the system of Western medical model. But I also grew up in Glasgow, which had one of the 5 homeopathic hospitals in the UK. And these hospitals were written into the National Health Service Charter in 1948, and they're still there. They're still there.
Yeah.
So despite opposition and attempts to get rid of them every now and then by the medical industry, I would call it, they're still there. So I grew up looking across the road from the hospital I was training in to the homeopathic hospital, which was like something out of Peter Pan. I mean, a lot of the homeopathic hospitals are in kind of grand Edwardian buildings. They're very fantastic. They're like a cross between the Addams Family home and, Peter Pan or J.M. Barrie story. So I grew up knowing about it, but I didn't practice it until I would say I came across, when I was doing my master's, I came across a head teacher who was also the magical king of a village in Ghana. And he opened my eyes to spirit, bodies leaving your body in an accident and then coming back into it, beliefs around leprosy, which is what I was looking into at the time from my research. And I took it from there. I came back and one of my tutors had grown up in Malawi. So he was telling me their beliefs about healing and health and medicine. And it kind of kicked off at that Saturn return point, which is one of the big growing up points on our chart. as humans, around about 28, 30. It kicked off there. And then I studied aromatherapy, reflexology, Bowen body therapy, and crystals. I actually traveled to the States. The first training I did was with Ken Meadows in London, and that was shamanic training and about soul retrieval and so on. And the belief systems of the old ones, so like our ancestors pre-Christian here. And then I went to Georgia actually to learn about crystals because nobody was really teaching it in the UK. So I got on a plane and I went to America to learn about my crystals in the 90s. I mean, we're way back, you know. But also in the 90s in the States, you could buy the books, you could find the shops, you could find the crystals. People were beginning to practice over there and open up about their practice, whereas it wasn't really here in the UK yet. So that's how. So for 30 years, I've had what they call parallel belief systems. You know, I believe both systems. I don't think either of them are wrong, but I don't think, particularly the one I trained in, is so valuable anymore. I would say, I think it's lost its way. Yeah. But yeah, so that's how I got to here. So 30 years later, you know, I can't believe, you know, I'm in the grandmother generation, you know.
Well,
I'm
good
a grandmother.
Yeah. So we just wanted to welcome the people that are joining us little by little that are watching. Please feel free to say hi, pop a wave, or just tell us your name. Remember that later on we will be doing some readings as well. So Sandra, so as we started with Sue, you know, talking about alternative therapies and how things can evolve sometimes in one's life, how do you think, so of these days and age, and just earlier on before coming on live, we were talking about with COVID and all of that, how counseling became more and more important for people to heal together with some maybe emotional, how can I say, baggage that was there already. Probably it kind of might have imploded or brought to the fore, you know, the issues that were there already with the add-on of the isolation. How do you think, for people that are sensitive souls, let's say, how do you think counseling can come in to help with the healing? Because spiritual healing is not just praying and meditation. It's an overall state of mind and soul, and you know, it's overall holistic.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely, yes. I think mental health is essential for everything, for physical and spiritual health. And I also believe that all the three components of humanity are interconnected: mind, body, and spirit. So we cannot think about physical health without mental health or without spiritual health. Everything is interconnected. And this has nothing to do with religion per se, just for the audience to have an idea what we are talking about. So spirituality is not just religious. It's something that's intrinsic on our nature as a human being. So, but in terms of mental health, as you have asked, mental health is so important, and people sometimes think that it's just when you have a disease, when you have a disorder. Some people still have all those old stereotypes that counseling and psychology or psychotherapy is just for the crazy people, right? Like I'm not crazy, I'm not going to therapy and things like that. And fortunately, this is changing a lot lately in the last couple of decades, and more people are really understanding what psychology can offer for people's well-being and relationships and all that. So it's pretty much a way for you to learn about yourself, right? to understand exactly how you function, who you are, how your upbringing, how your family dynamics, how your cultural context is affecting who you are, your happiness, your health, and your relationships. Because the more you know about yourself, the more control you're going to have over your actions, your thoughts, your feelings, and consequently which kind of outcome you're going to have in your life in general. So sometimes, for example, people have problems in relationships, and then as they come to therapy, they start to learn more about themselves, about their personalities, the way their brains are wired, and also their family relationships, the family dynamics, and their life history. And they see themselves repeating the same patterns without realizing. And then, by learning more and doing more, they are able to change that, to make that switch, to make that life change that they wanted, but they were not able to, because they are not aware of the patterns that they were repeating, unhealthy patterns that they were repeating in their own lives. So it's really life transformative. Not even mentioning traumas, right? Sometimes people go through traumas. Some people remember the traumas. Some people are not even aware of the traumas they have been through. Like, there's a lot of traumas that are not even really well known by the health providers. For example, there are some kinds of child molestations that are not necessarily explicit. So child molestation is not just about being raped, or having sexual intercourse with a family member, or an adult, or anything like that. It's like how the family behaved, how early the child was exposed to sexuality, in which way was appropriate, was not appropriate, how their parents related to their own sexuality, and how they transpire that to this child in the education. So there's many different ways of, like, child being exposed to pornography very early, like in the TV or internet, introduced by their parents sometimes, or an uncle or aunt, stuff like that can represent a child molestation, and that can ruin their whole lives as an adult if they are not being treated. So just one example of how much you can change in your life. And that is going to affect how you're going to relate to your spirituality, how you're going to relate to other people, how much you can develop your skills, your talents, how much you can be successful or not in your life, and physical diseases that you eventually can develop because of emotional problems, right? And so it's a healing aspect, is a tripod that is very essential to everything, not only when you are in crisis, but for everyone should go to therapy and learn about themselves.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And let me tell you, it's extremely interesting what you are saying and what we are talking about tonight. Good evening, Olga. I wanted to say hi and good evening and welcome to the people that have been joining us. Meanwhile, Stacia, Yvonne, thank you. Nice to see you back. Christine. And so what I wanted to say is, how strong is the impact of emotional and mental disease versus physical disease?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Sorry. So I think it's essential. Like, I see sometimes, for example, people developing allergies, developing digestive problems, developing heart problems, developing autoimmune diseases after traumas. You know, it's essential. And if the person, let's say the person is in constant pain or is in constant torment, they cannot sleep, they cannot have a normal life, they cannot have you know, they have struggle with their diet and allergies with food and all sorts of things. They cannot function sometimes because they don't have energy or they are extremely anxious. They sometimes get, you know, they cannot really have a good relationship with their own spirituality, for example. And, you know, and then we have the trauma, and then the physical disease, and then the spirituality all attached together. So, so people sometimes get revolted with God, you know, with the spirituality. Oh, it's not fair, the life I have. Why am I always repeating the same problems? Why I don't have luck on my relationships? Or why I'm always in pain? Why I have this disease? And they you know, didn't have the opportunity eventually to kind of heal their emotional traumas, their emotional pain that have caused all that. And this has nothing to do with God, nothing to do with bad luck or anything like that. So so it's a wonderful thing to see all those things interconnected. And when we work, for example, any other way, right, with the spiritual healing, like through trance healing, for example, the guides, we channel medical and medical doctors and psychiatrists and psychotherapists from the other side. They are much more evolved than we are. They have much more developed techniques than we do. But and they you know, appoint, you know, the relationship of the energy that we create through our thoughts, through our habits, and how much that is interconnected directly with our physical health. Sometimes they teach us through, as they are healing, they teach us this connection. We have, of course, a limited way to understand. They understand much better than we do, but is enough. What we can learn from them is enough for us to have this absolute conviction of that interconnection between those three aspects of ourselves.
Absolutely, and I so totally agree with you. And sometimes what some would how some people would react to that, they would try anything to try and feel better within themselves by going to homeopathic remedies or alternative remedies. So how are these, like, how is nature coming in to help us beyond, obviously, an obvious physical disease that a doctor or specialist can probably cure in somehow. We always somehow, and and but somehow it feels that sometimes we don't feel whole. We feel something is missing, and we hear people complaining that, you know, they're treating me for one thing, but I've got three more and I don't know what to do with the others. So how is your, you know, go-to healing working with that?
I think the point is that in older times, people were more aligned to nature, and now we're very distant. We watch it on TV. You know, we pick flowers that don't have any aromas anymore from the shops. They've all been GMs. People think a walk in nature is a walk along a path that's already been created. And we're very disconnected. Because I was talking to a young woman who's growing herbs in her allotment today. And I was saying, you know, when I was young, people weren't on routine prescriptions. It didn't really exist. The NHS hadn't bought into the medical model to the extent that it was buying routine medications for everybody, you know, blood pressure medications, blood thinning medications, and so on. And the old Romany book I have on Romany healing from 1932, so it's almost 100 years old, says everything you need would grow by the roadside. So every herb that you needed for healing yourself, whether you were in, say, New Mexico or whether you were here, California, whether you're in Italy, the herbs are local for your vibration to heal you. So you didn't even need homeopathy, which is it's quite an extensive process to dilute what you need down to the tiny, tiny, minute particle that you would need to reverse what's the issue with you, or to heal what is the issue with you. And homeopathy working on the treat the poison with the poison, old saying of old medicine as well. You know, that's part of it. But it's also treat the missing parts. And I think what is missing is connection. And it is a spiritual connection. I think people are I often wondered whether it's a lack of, and I'm not saying that you have to pray in one of the 4 big religions, but a lack of prayer seems to be closing off crown chakras, for example. A lack of wonder is happening because people's third eye are now very, very shut. And the question is, what's causing this? Is it a lack of reading books, for example, where your imagination would fire all these things? Is it a lack of being outside? Is it too much TV? You know, what is going on here? Because all the pharmaceutical preparations were originally found in plant form, and they've been taken over by byproducts of petrochemical industries. The agriculture industry has then found that things work for humans and vice versa. So we're now being chemically modulated as opposed to in the old days, even until the 90s. So we're talking only 30 years ago. There were still herbal products and homeopathic products available in your pharmacies here. And the EU pushed them out the window. So it's interesting as to who the EU were working with in those days. They used to demand a double-blind trial. Now, the only people that did double blinds were the pharmaceutical industry because they got the money to do them and the numbers. So if you didn't have a double blind, your product came off the shelves around about 1995, and it hasn't reappeared. So people lost the herbal remedies that were still for sale, for example. They've forgotten how to make them because many people are now living in cities and double busy. You know, we moved from a reasonable working life into an unreasonable working life. People are working too many hours. They lost connection with nature, and they lost the access to everything that your granny would say, go down and buy that at the druggist or the chemist. They lost access to that. So people are now very, very disconnected.
Yeah. I mean, if you think like thousands of years ago, like from, the Babylonians to the Egyptians to the Sumeri, they all had official medicine was herbal based. It's only like with modern life and, that we have these complex compounds which go or not to impact our system even DNA at some point and so on and so forth. So we have we've spoken first with Sandra in regards to the importance of healing mentally and emotionally throughout our life, and how once we seek for allopathic medicine, we then end up trying to use more gentle approach to emotional healing, I would say, although as well as physical to some extent. How do we, according to you, Sandra, how do we move on in connecting spiritually then? Do you think that traumas will bring forward a certain curiosity? Like, as you were mentioning before at the beginning, with trauma, some people become very angry, perhaps with God, say, for instance. It's not a religious thing, but you know what I mean, with the universe, whatever. But then would that be, do you think, also, by the same token, be an opener to more? Like to seek, peace in something else which we don't see.
Absolutely. There's always a choice, right? I think we all have choices in every second of our life, including facing adversities or diseases or disorders or how whatever we would like to call. So some people, like for example, some people experience after like I forgot the term now in English, but it's like they died and then come back. So a life
A near-death experience?
Near death.
that experience
Near death.
exactly.
Yeah.
So they kind of have that, you know, very very
The,
much they died and came back either through a coma or an accident or you know, a stroke, a heart attack. And some people use that, they come back a different person, they come back you know, willing to change their lives, to be more thoughtful, to be more loving, to learn more about themselves, to you know, let go of values that are not so fulfilling, not so deep or spiritual. And other people come back the same, or they come back angry, they come back, you know, I don't care, like this is like, you know, they continue to deny their spiritual nature. And with the disease is the same. So we all have experiences, and we all have opportunities throughout our lives, through our hardships, through our adversities, to learn or to get worse. It's always a choice, right? Or not to change at all, just to be stuck in the same situation that led us to that problem in the first place. So and so I particularly believe in reincarnation and different lives. And you know, we go through different learning experiences, not only in our own lives, here and now, but also in different lifetimes. And I see this very clearly in my practices. And you know, people sometimes bring their own experiences. I of course don't impose any of my values and beliefs in anyone, or even mention, but they bring their own experiences. And you know, how much they would like to understand their lives and their relationships. Sometimes they come they come in families that they don't feel that they belong. Like, how come? What's going on? I want to understand my relationship with my family, why we can never get you know, to this point of seeing eye to eye. Why? What do I need to learn from that? So they spontaneously come looking for techniques like past life regressions and things like that, hypnosis. And it's fascinating how much they can learn from this experience, from learning about their past lives and their connections with this same problem or the same kind of people. And they find answers. They find answers in terms of, okay, I understand what I need to learn now. I understand what I need to do.
It gives purpose. Yeah, it gives purpose, basically.
Exactly.
And one more question for you, Sandra. How does music help the healing of someone?
Absolutely. Music is much more than most. I think even for us, musicians and people that study music in a therapeutic way, we have so much to learn still. There's us, I mean, is a universal you know, is an infinite source of learning. And so, but what we know so far is that music has different very basic components that is so intrinsically related both with our physical and mental and spiritual health. So we have the vibrations, right? Like thoughts are vibration, feelings are vibrations. So positive or negative, they are in music. We have rhythm, right? Which is like the most basic and also the most advanced kind of relationship we can have with the universe. The baby, the fetus have the first connection they have with the mother and the universe is through vibration, through rhythm. They feel the pulse of the mother's heartbeat. They feel the pulse of their bloodstream on themselves. They feel the vibration of the mother's voice when they are still inside of the womb, and so it's their first connection. It's our first connection with the world and with the physical world is through music. So, and that's why it's so universal. It's a universal language that unites people, no matter what, no matter your taste of music, no matter your culture, your background, your political inclinations, or your race, or anything like that. Music unites people, and that in itself is a healing component. And let alone all the other components that we have mentioned, the vibrational aspects, the rhythm aspect, and also the emotional aspect that we have attached to music one way or the other can be extremely healing. So is an amazing infinite source of healing that is we need to kind of really explore more, both through with the help of a professional, but also in our daily lives, because it's extremely important and extremely powerful, in much more than any other kind of verbal communication or any medication or anything like that.
Last weekend I was at this fair not far from home, and there were a couple that are like they travel around doing professional sound baths, and they had the most amazing kits. And the sound that was coming from there, there I understood for the first time, that's how music, but more than music, I thought of it as vibration. So if you are exposed to real, pure vibrations done by professionals, if I may say, then it's the most beautiful, experience to have,
Yeah.
And Sue, have you ever attended in your life like a sound bath or anything like that?
I work with Tibetan bowls and myself. So I also
there you go. Lovely.
for my Christmas, I gave myself a set of tuning forks, of weighted tuning forks for my Christmas. Yeah, I love weighted tuning forks.
Yes.
I feel so well. If I've got a slight stress, I just stick one around my body and find my stress. And a couple of weeks ago, I went to a shamanic practitioner because I initially started training in shamanism, but I haven't seen anybody for years. And I just felt I was feeling quite tired. I thought, I'm going to go and see this woman. She says she's shamanic. She was mind blowing. Her drum was vibrating through my body, and it wasn't the kind of raw shamanism of 30 years ago. This is kind of professional. You have a couch, you have a blanket. The drum was all. Yeah, the old days it was lie on the floor and cover yourself with a blanket.
Yeah.
Now it's
the modern version.
Yeah, neat. The modern version is far more sophisticated, but lovely, So you have a lovely couch, knee support, you're warm, you're comfortable. Her drumming, I was just traveling. And then she also uses a whistle.
A whistle?
The technique. A whistle, you get a whistle as well. And it was just, I was transported, it was exactly what I needed. She started also holding my feet to ground me, so doing a bit of reflexology plus Reiki on my feet, and then into the shamanic healing. It was to die for, honestly. It's worth it. Yeah, it's great. But the tuning forks, I would recommend even if you can't afford a set, just buy yourself one tuning fork that's weighted and work with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you've got to think about it up here where we have such the most dreadful hardcore Presbyterianism you ever met, apart from maybe the Scandinavians, because we're close to the Scandinavians. They got rid of music in the churches. So if you were raised with Catholic music, it was divine. It was absolute, choirs. When I went to England and I saw the beauty of the old churches and the choir schools in England, which continued, that it's gorgeous. Every service there is this transcendent music. Yeah. And then if you look at hoodoo or voodoo, there is dancing and singing in your church. There is trance dancing, there is singing, there is drums. You come to Scotland, there's nothing. No singing. No,
really? Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, really. Some of them are very extreme. Session churches, yeah. So the ones that kind of founded the Presbyterian American culture, in 1831 there was a secession. So you move away from even having an organ in a church, which can be quite dreary, to be honest. Scottish organ music is quite dreary. It's not the bird and palestrina of the kind of papal music. It's nothing like it. And then they get rid of that. So you've got this singing that would make you want to kill yourself. It's dirge. It's what we call dirge over here. So you can see why there's so much heart disease in Scotland. You can, you can correlate misery, weather, and lack of joy.
I mean, I'm laughing, but there is no laughing matter, is it? It's surely not a coincidence.
Yeah, it's really sad. The first pilgrims that came to America searching religious freedoms, right? They came from searching religious. They were extremely, rigid and radical about their behaviors and everything. They need to be together the whole day, Sundays, and expressions of emotions were treated as a crime.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you express emotions, like especially during Sunday, like if you are in a public place and you look at your child and give your child a smile, you're going to guillotine.
Oh,
yeah.
It's like really. and that was associated with no music in their services as well.
Yeah, so they had no music, and
they consider emotions. They consider emotions as sinful, as something that's very vulgar. And it was really mind-blowing when I learned that. It was like mind-blowing. That explains a lot. But
so we are having English Viking joining us, and he's saying the other half is a professional church singer in Denmark. Sounds amazing. Isn't that amazing, actually? I don't know much about Denmark, but I don't think that the religion there is, for instance, as strong as in Italy, but like with the Catholicism. See what I mean? But I am pretty sure that, when one plays an instrument and sings in a church, there is a certain sense of stillness and beauty and power, and the vibrations feel all the much powerful. So and church singers, I'm pretty sure you, Sandra, you've done it quite a few times, because what type of singer are you? Remind us.
I'm an opera singer. I'm a soprano opera singer.
Soprano. Let's see. I was trying to remember. You are a soprano. So I'm So I just wanted to say good evening to Jennifer as well for joining us together with everybody else. And yes, music is a wonderful, wonderful thing. It heals the soul, doesn't it?
It does.
Although some people say, but the soul is divine and the soul is, but it's a way of calling our higher heart, isn't it? The soul, and that's how we define soul in this case. So perhaps I was just wondering. So John John is saying she's a soprano too. Okay. Oh, wow. Oh, yes, yes. You're talking, sorry, I confused it with someone else's comment. Yes, she's a soprano too. And she's a counselor, John, and she's a lovely medium. And because of that, actually, now we are going to be switching and give some messages to our audience. So if you are open to receiving messages from spirit, I'm pretty sure with the topic that we have touched, I know that spirit will be more than happy to bring more healing to this evening, as we normally do have a little bit of messages there. So where do you think we are heading in terms of natural healing? Are we heading forward, or we are looking back at what it used to be like in the olden days when, so many populations in 1,000 years ago, they used to? Do you think we need to go backward, or we need to go forward? And if so, how do you think that's going to be happening?
Yeah, I think many of us are experiencing other dimensions now. When we're already channeling, or when we're working as spirit healers, and we're working with beings from other dimensions, it's not all spirit coming through now. Yeah, and consequently, I think natural healing is shifting up several gears.
Oh, we lost her.
Yeah.
We lost her. I'm sure she'll come back shortly. So just to continue with you then. So how do you think music can help with the healing of the mind and of the emotions then?
Yeah, music can heal through the vibrational and to the components, all the components of the music. So the rhythm you can even reorganize our DNA through rhythms, through vibrations and frequencies.
Yeah.
And we can also kind of break blockages. We have blockages that we create that leads to diseases, emotional and physical. When we do like music therapy and sound bathing and all those experiences that is out there, we kind of really feel it. Like you need to experience to understand, and to what that can do for you is a no verbal. No, we can never really describe 100% exactly what happens, but what we know is that frequency, each frequency is associated with certain levels of energy. So the spirits have different frequencies, and music also have different frequencies. So even like we are talking before about church services, so the music can elevate or not the frequency of the environment, the spiritual frequency. So and when it comes to diseases, physical and mental, everything starts with vibration. Our thoughts are vibration. Our feelings are vibration. When we are sad, when we are sick, or any disease that we are experiencing, our vibration is low. We can there are some experiments that can really measure the frequencies of the body and the thought on during those times, and the other way around is also true. So and it expands our immune system. When we are in a higher vibration, our immune system expands, so we get more, our physical body gets more stronger against viruses and bacteria and any components that would lead to diseases. Can also protect us from the things that are already going on eventually inside of us. We can heal, we can reverse processes that are happening through those vibrational changes that music can bring. and also is a very wonderful way to communicate, to interact. And so the music is more related to our left brain, if like for most people who are like right-handed, right? So our not dominant side of the brain, and that side is also related to creativity, is also related to finding, seeing the big picture, finding solutions for our problems, finding, other ways to be in the world, to be yourself, to develop, and the music can make that bridge of communication. People sometimes that have difficulties expressing themselves, like autistic, very low level, like in the spectrum, autistic people, or people that speak different languages. Like people can communicate through the music without words. And
Wow.
also, if you can also, if you, there's a language that's common, you can use that language. It can activate your brain in ways that you cannot activate just with other things. So for example, associating music therapy with physical therapy, statistically is proven that people recover much faster, 3 times faster.
Okay.
So the body reacts, the muscles regenerate, the nerves regenerate faster, and
Wow.
it's fantastic. So so is a wonderful, really powerful and infinite way of healing, and communicating. That's why it's so universal and unites people, because people feel it. Like, I think we all have heard this expression, right? I really feel the music. I really feel that message. It's not about the words necessarily. It's about the rhythm.
True. It's the rhythm. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
And all that. So
yeah, yes, absolutely. And I have done recently a special sound, one-to-one sound bath, and with a lady, and she is also an astrologer, and she's done also counseling. I think she's just graduated, and so what she does, she creates like melodies based on your vibrations, basically. And I mean, it was an amazing journey. I hope she will confirm and be coming along beginning of August on this podcast, so that it's Fiona Dodd, the name of this lady, and I've known her for a few years now, but she has come such a long way. And music, as you say. Hello, Sandra. Good evening. Welcome. And thank you to John, Jennifer, English Viking, and everybody else is still with us. It's like such an amazing journey, to experience with music and with the healing, emotional particularly, isn't it? And then when we heal emotionally, then that's, I believe, when we can reconnect spiritually as well. And I don't know if you have ever experienced this, or if you have ever heard anyone talking about it, but sometimes people say to me, like, I cannot feel God, or I cannot feel my spirituality. But then when you start digging in, Chandra is saying, my granny was a professional gospel singer, so was one of my cousins that both passed. So beautiful to hear that, Chandrell. Gospel, besides gospel, it's like the music of the soul. isn't it? It just talks to your soul because it's words, but it's rhythm and it's passion, isn't it? And so, you know, when you, I feel that when you heal emotionally, then you can reconnect to your true self. And I feel that when we are upset or angry or we are grieving, we struggle to reconnect to that higher vibration that gives us hope, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that right? There is like, is Sandra, tell me if you need to correct me, but I think there is something called the Kubler-Ross curve, and which is the emotional curve we go through when something hits us, like grief or depression, and then we go down, and then down the bottom is depression, and then as you come back up, you know, you've got like fear, and then I don't remember very well, but then you sometimes people tend to shift back and forth at the bottom of this curve. Is that right?
Yeah.
And I feel that the music can actually help, you know, raise that vibrations when we having, you know, like a better upliftment basically there, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It can definitely help. And the thing is that, what, let's say you someone is going through a grief process, right? Mourning process, and lost like a loved one. They are really and they get stuck there sometimes. Some people get stuck in that grief for their whole lives or decades. And then, you know, if someone comes and say, hey, yes, life moved, you know, I'm sorry for your loss, but life needs to continue. Like, let's try to figure out something that you can do with your life and all that, whatever. Try to comfort them. And that's gonna go from 1 year and go out in the other. They can be grateful and, you know, for the support, but it's not gonna make a change necessarily. But if they hear some music, they have no defense mechanism. They have no, because defense mechanism is rational. Yeah, you think something. It's like, no, I cannot, you know, I cannot move on because it's not fair. That survivor's guilt sometimes, right? That kicks in, and the person that never recovers or was related to other losses, and then, you know, so many reasons why sometimes the person cannot get off that curve. But then when the music comes, when vibrational healing comes through music, or you know, the person has no, they are oblivious of what is happening with them, you know, through that process. So therefore they cannot, you know, they cannot defend themselves, they cannot block the healing process. So it's a fantastic thing. Yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Shall we try? We have actually just 5 minutes left, so I would be. I would like to probably. There you go. I'm just going to remove you just shortly from the stage, Sue. And I'm going to remove Sandra. Hi, good evening. What I just wanted to do for a moment, I would like to try and do a channeling, because this is how spirit is. I feel spirit wants to come forward. We only have 5 minutes left, so I would like to leave you with a message from spirit. So this is like a higher being coming forward, and is to do with my guide, who was an archbishop at the Vatican in the 1200th century in Rome, of course. And he works with me, bringing forward both healing, physical healing, but also emotional healing. And so let me see what he's wanting to say here. So, good evening, everyone. I am ever so joyous to find out that you are following this program tonight. I would like to just remind you how important it is to prioritize your own health and your own network and community. There will be times to come when you will need to rely highly onto your community for everything you need. Now, I don't want to scare anyone, but I'm saying that the structure of your society will be changing significantly in the coming years. And so, meanwhile, as you all are discovering more about your spirituality and what this is about, I can tell you that as you rediscover your true self, as you rediscover what your purpose on your spiritual, on your earthly experiences, your physical vibrations will start vibrating higher and higher. And you will need more, much more than just human medicine. Because medicines will be important, but going forward, there will be much more required from you for healing. And I'm not talking about physical healing, because you see, physical healing is also vibrational healing. And so anything that can heal with physical healing and that has vibrations, then that it will be the type of medicine that you need, be it vibrations from plants, vibrations from nature, sounds, from the elements even. And I cannot stress enough the importance for you to listen, learn to listen to your body, because your body talks to you all the time. So you need to learn to find a quiet time every so often to listen to it. What is it trying to say to you? Because you see, my dear friends, for a long time, people have been living in a society which has been demanding more and more from them, from the humans. And people started getting more and more sick, mentally sick in particular, as you may be well aware of it. Now, there is a necessity for humankind to slow down their pace, whether the powerful forces leading on Earth are happy or not with it, but humanity needs to slow down. They've been brought to the brink of discovery of self. And once this discovery and the opening to a complete new world, which is so powerful and yet brings in the community sense as well, then community will have the power to not just have a say, but to help each other. I know these words may not be of much significance to you right now, but remember that as we lend a hand to each other, we create a human chain. And the human chain gives hope, gives positivity, and it's heartwarming. And when one feels with hope, then the channels for self-healing are also activated together. with all other natural therapies that are available out there. You see, in the olden days when I lived at the Vatican in Rome, we had priests and missionaries coming from the faraway countries, from India, and they would bring us all those medicines made of powders and flowers and plants, and we would also use them and they would be very strong for us because we were not being used to them. So I'm just saying here, my dear friends, it's been a real pleasure to be brought forward by Daniela, by my host. I'm very grateful. And I'm grateful to you to be here tonight. And so I would like to take a moment to give you a blessing, vibrational blessing of joy, positivity, and love. And may you always be in connection with your own soul and your own true self. And so I'm just gonna bring back, just for a second, the ladies.
Wonderful channeling, Daniela. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Sandra. Thank you. It's obviously I went in a state of semi-trance, and it was such an honor to, in a way, very interesting message as well, I must say. And I just wanted to say thank you, Sandra, for being with us tonight. It's always an honor and a pleasure. Sue, likewise, I am pretty sure that we will have you on for more talk on light beings and beings from higher dimensions and healing and all of that. And thank you so much to Nancy Moratella, a dear colleague and medium, to John, Jennifer, Christine, Chandrell, and everybody else that has joined us tonight. Yvonne, Olga, thank you ever so much to all of you and everybody else. Next week we have another fantastic guest, a medium, and I would like to say watch out this space because there will be so much going on still until August. And so I shall see you next week, and take care. Thank you for being here. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Daniela.
Thank you.
Thank you.